What's going on, dudes? And dude, Ed, so apparently during the NBA trade deadline last week, both the Golden State Warriors and the Philadelphia 76ers inquired with the Lakers about the availability of LeBron James and if a trade is available or if they could work something out. And I guess they were just testing the waters before this summer happens, but I guess it was a possibility it could have happened because even like some of the owners of each team were communicating with one another and all that stuff. So when it gets down to that, that's pretty close. But I think even when Jeannie Buss was asked or phone called, she said, "Well, you got to ask LeBron and his people." So I don't know if that means like she's kind of ready to move on, even if he does or does not accept this player option. But even if he does, he probably could say, "I'll accept it if you trade me," but that's going to be pretty tough for any team to get him because he's going to be making like over $50 million next year. So we'll see. But there was from on social media this site that I follow called Legion Hoops. They did put out a rumor or source saying that this summer apparently the Lakers' number one trade target is Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. But the fact that they noted at the end was that it was a dream to pair him up with Anthony Davis, which is already a bit more news saying that LeBron is kind of out of the picture. And if he does end up becoming out of the picture, then I guess they would try to go after him. I don't think he is a free agent, but even if you try to make a trade, you're going to be giving up quite a bit for him as well. And I mean, I guess it could be an okay pairing. I just don't know how that would work with everybody else who is around both those guys. I would prefer somebody else who can take over a game like a Donovan Mitchell, somebody like that. But who knows who's really going to be available. There were some rumors out there saying that this, because the teams are pretty much hard with a bunch of money and a bunch of contracts on their rosters, that there are going to be a lot more trades in the offseason than there usually is. So looking forward to that, seeing what could happen. But yeah, a lot of stuff brewing here in LA Laker Nation land. Duke's punter Porter Wilson was invited to the NFL Combine as well, so congrats to him. I remember when watching some of their games this year, they would talk about him and how good of a player he is. Sadly, the Chargers don't need him, but hopefully he will get drafted as well at some point in April. Then when it comes to a 2025 defensive lineman, Maxwell Roy recently did put Duke in his top 6, which was nice to see because he's one of the top defensive linemen out there in that class. So looking good for Coach Manny Diaz and the Duke football side. And speaking of him, I believe it was 27 Sports did a grading of the certain coaching hires throughout college football, and Manny Diaz was graded a B, which is pretty good. I would probably still give him an A- because he was able to keep a lot of good players from transferring and getting a lot of good guys to close out that 2024 recruiting class as well, and already working on the future. So I think you should give him a little bit more credit than just a B, in my opinion. But yeah, definitely looking forward to the future of Duke football. Then another like top 4-star edge in that class of 2025, Darren Ikenagbong. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. He did put Duke football in his top 8 as well. So they're going after the trenches, going after very talented 4-star players. So yes, hoping at least some of these guys are still interested in Duke when December rolls around. And the Chargers pretty much made their complete staff hiring for Jim Harbaugh and the coaching staff official. There might be some other guys missing from this list, but they did put a post out recently. I'll just go through the names of some of the guys that we have not heard about yet. But on the offensive side, there was a guy named Andy Bischoff, who is the run game coordinator, quarterbacks, and he's a tight ends coach as well. They're bringing back Shane Day, who as a quarterback coach, who was with the Chargers in some of Justin Herbert's pretty good years a couple years ago. They're bringing in Mike Devlin as the offensive line coach. I was surprised Nick Hardwick's name was not on there because a lot of rumors were saying he was part of that hiring as well. An Charger offensive lineman / center. Then Mark Trestman is a senior offensive assistant who was more recently as a head coach with the Chicago Bears and did some assistant stuff, so he has some knowledge. Then Sanjay Lal is the wide receivers coach. Then we also have Mike Elston, who is a defensive line coach. Rick Minter, the senior defensive analyst, who I believe is the father of Jesse Minter, the main defensive coordinator. Steve Klinkscale is a defensive backs coach. And Dylan Rooney, he is a defensive assistant. And yes, a lot of these guys are former hires of Michigan as well, so he's definitely poaching that program, which in the end I say it's pretty good for USC's chances because they have to go over to Michigan in like their third game of the season, fourth week of the season. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty tough matchup, but kind of surprised that with them losing a bunch of coaches, there hasn't been a lot of players jumping into the transfer portal yet, but hoping that will maybe happen. Maybe they can't technically because of classes and all that stuff, so they have to wait for the spring one or the summer. So we'll still have to wait and see on that news. And then when it came to the Lakers, yes, they did play the other day as well and got that victory against Utah, 138-122, and LeBron did not play. Anthony Davis scored 37 points, 15 rebounds. Rui Hachimura also had 36 points, which was a career high for him, and it's the first time since Kobe and Shaq did it back all the way in 2003 as teammates. Especially, it's pretty much cool that it's for the same team as well, for two players on the same team to score 35 plus points in the same game. So awesome for those guys. You would think LeBron and AD would have had that by now, but apparently not. So congrats to both Anthony Davis and Rui Hachimura. I think even D'Angelo Russell had a career high in assists. I want to say it was 17, but yeah, he stepped up assisting instead of scoring in that game. But overall, a nice victory heading into the All-Star break. Definitely looking forward to seeing some of the stuff this All-Star weekend. A lot of the young Duke guys playing on Friday. So checking that out today as you're watching this video. Then checking out Saturday night. It's usually supposed to be the most fun 3-point and dunk contests. Surprisingly, still no word on Grayson Allen and why he's not in the 3-point competition. And then we'll see the ultimate dunk contest series when it comes to the regular game on Sunday, which is usually fun. I don't care that they don't play defense. I'd rather see a lot of cool highlight plays. So either way, still looking forward to this cool All-Star weekend in Indianapolis. That's going to be pretty cool. On 3, they put a list out of Freshman of the Year, and Duke's Jared McCain is ranked number 1 right now through this part of the season, so that's pretty cool. And I think even USC's Isaiah Collier is number 6, even though he's missed pretty much almost a month and a half or so, and he's still number 6 on that list for this award, so that's pretty cool overall. So looking forward to that. And according to 247 Sports, Duke is apparently the number 15th or 16th best team since the beginning of this year, January 1st, but I don't know, they're still ranked number 9 in the AP poll, and I think they've only maybe have lost twice since then, and that's a big maybe. So I think they've been pretty good so far, and they have not lost back-to-back games either, like some school over in Tobacco Road. But yeah, overall, still a pretty good season for my Duke Blue Devils. And then Lincoln Riley, they did a long, like over 2-hour long press conference introducing a lot of the new staff for USC football, but I was barely able to get through Coach Lincoln Riley's right before this recording, and I did hear him talk about why he did not go after a more older veteran quarterback in the transfer portal when it came to after what he saw Miller Moss's performance in that game against Louisville. So it's pretty obvious how well he played, and he didn't feel like he had to go get anybody. So that was pretty much the reason why we didn't see them go after anybody higher ranked and older. That's why they only went after Jaden Mayava, who was a true freshman last year. So either way, we'll see what those both can do. They're definitely going to battle it out in this spring semester coming up, so looking forward to that. Yes, a couple of more guys from USC invited to the combine, both offensive linemen Jared Kingston and the wide receiver Taj Washington were both officially invited to the combine, so that's pretty cool for them. Nice getting these numbers up for them in that combine. And then, yes, when it came to Amon-Ra St. Brown, apparently there's a rumor out there that he will be getting an extension up to like at least 3 years on his deal, and he's most likely going to be making around $25 million per season, which is pretty cool and obviously big time for a guy who was selected in the 4th round. So yes, congrats to him, the ex-USC wide receiver. When it came to the Anaheim Ducks, yes, they did finally get another victory. Finally, 5-1 against the Ottawa Senators, I believe they are. So yeah, at least they beat up on a lowly team. They're able to get this victory. A 4-star 2025 linebacker, Noah McHale, he did schedule an April 13th visit to USC, which is pretty interesting just because it's his last, what I believe is an official visit with a lot of the names he put up there, because there's like Alabama, Oregon, Texas A&M, Nebraska, places like that he's going to be visiting. I think Notre Dame as well. And he saved USC for the end, which is either because he's a local California guy or he wants them to be able to have the last input on his recruiting throughout this spring ball. So we'll definitely have to wait and see what his decision is. And yes, to end this video off, yes, USC basketball did finally get on the win column, beating Utah 68-64. It was a pretty crazy ending. They had gotten up by 2, then Utah ran down the court. Luckily, USC was able to get that block, and then they basically ran it all the way down for another layup as time was expiring. So yeah, barely got away with this one, but at least it's another victory finally. So yes, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, fight on.